madam, and wish you all the best for each and everyone who are all attending the seminar. And now I am requesting Mr. Y.V. Raman to say a few words. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Radhakrishnan. My Mrs. Jaya Shyamsunder. This morning, while I was pondering about the definition of thought leader, I realized that it is an influencer on someone who, based on their expertise and perspective in industry, offers unique guidance, inspires innovation, and influences others. A classical example which came to my mind was Sri S.P. Balasubramaniam, who was there with us till yesterday and has become Amar GV from today. If you have watched his reality shows, he used to encourage the singers, young singers, point out the flaws in a very subtle manner, inspire them to understand the lyrics, meanings, and emotions of the lyricist, along with the theme of music director. Hundreds of young singers who are now influenced by him have become playback singers. This was possible because of his knowledge, expertise, and perspective in this genre of music, followed by and loved by millions. I have great pleasure in introducing Mrs. Jaya Shyamsunder. She has been representing Mahapriya and Infinitheism for the past 2.5 years, that's about 25 years. She's passionate about working with adults and children and providing clarity on parenting. Happily married to Mr. Shyamsunder, she's a mother of 2 children who are research scholars. I take this occasion to welcome you all this morning, ladies and gentlemen, and I present to you Mrs. Jaya Shyamsunder. Ma'am, the floor is open to you.
Wishing you all most and more. There is something common between plastics and spirituality. You can't do without both. You all represent plastic and I represent spirituality. And there is so much of controversy around both. Plastic is not new to me. In fact, I was introduced into Infinitheism by one Mr. Vishal Agrawal, who was a plastic manufacturer. When I came to do the course in Infinitheism, I had a friend by name G. Radhakrishnan, who also was a plastic manufacturer. I had another friend by name Sanjay Bed, who was also another plastic manufacturer. Ironically, to put it, I got married to T.M. Shyamsunder, who was also a plastic manufacturer. So I think we are starting on a very, very positive note. Did I say we are starting on a very, very positive note? Let me rephrase it. We are starting on a very, very, very plastic note. And if this initiative and if this program is happening, it is also because of my friend Narayan of Pauline Industries. So wherever I look around, it's always people and plastic, plastic, plastic. So let's begin on a very, very positive and a plastic note. When I had a conversation with Mr. Raman, in fact, I wanted to go and meet him. I wanted to go and meet him. So he said, instead of meeting one person every Saturday, there are a group of entrepreneurs from Indian Plastic Institute who meet regularly on Saturday. And of course, people from other forums are also going to be there. So why not we take this opportunity of meeting everybody on Saturday? And that's how this program is happening right now. And so we decided, when I'm going to meet entrepreneurs, the best topic that we can think of is thought leadership, so apt for entrepreneurs. But even before I start speaking about the path Infinitheism and about Mahatria, the diviner of the path of infinitism, I would like to share with each one of which actually shook me from the roots, which I learned from Mahatria. To be developed, surround yourself with people whom you can look up to. I repeat, if you want your ego to be developed, surround yourself with people who look up to you. If you want to be developed, then surround yourself with people whom you can look up to. How true, how true. At the age of 35, when I came in contact with Mahatria and the path of infinitism, I already had 2 grown-up children, and I ensured that I always surround myself. I put myself in a group where I have people whom I can look up to, where I have people who are always a source of inspiration to me. As the result of which I know today, I have transformed from being a homemaker to a person, a marketing executive in infinitism. Most importantly, being a bridge, a connecting bridge between Mahatria and the world outside. And I look forward that there is a purpose in my life. So one small shift happened in my life where I decided that I'm always going to be in a group of people where I will be looking up to them. For example, if I were in my same group, okay, I know that there'll be a lot of people who will come and tell me. There'll be those people who can put jara and say, "Ungala pola yarume illiye, ungala pola yarume illiye." I very well know all these things are not going to create me. It's only going to help my ego grow. It's only when I surround myself with people whom I look up to, that's when I grow in my life. And this is the first wisdom that I received from the path of infinitism and my beloved Mahatria. Going further, infinitism always believes the right sangam is very, very important. When I'm talking about the right sangam, we are talking about the right-minded people. A net worth of a human being or a person is always derived from the net worth of the people he is associated with. Haven't we experienced this? When you just go into a rose garden and you stay there for quite a long time, you just have to go and stay there for a long time. And when you come back of the rose garden, you will actually smell roses, which means the right company is very, very, very important, specifically for an entrepreneur. For example, if you are in the company of people who always think in crores, then your mind will also expand and you will also start thinking in crores. If you are in a company of people where they always speak in lakhs, then your mind will also shrink to thinking in lakhs. So the next wisdom that I have grown through the path of infinitism is I have to be in the right sangam, the right-minded people, and the right company. Sorry to say this, but in life, we are always surrounded by a group of people or some people who are always there to see us fall. I repeat, we are surrounded sometimes by people who are always there to see us fall. They wait for us to fall. They don't come and tell us that you're wrong when actually we are wrong. If somebody had come and told us that we are wrong in the beginning, we would have prevented ourselves from falling. So, what do I need now? I need somebody in my life who will be there to ensure that I don't fall in my life. Infinitheism and Mahatria has been that to my life. If you remember, in those yesteryears, every kingdom where the king was ruling the empire, they had somebody called as the Raja Guru and the Raja Rishi, where a Raja Rishi or Raja Guru will not involve himself into the day-to-day events of the which is happening in the kingdom, but will always safeguard the interests of the king. Now, I had an infinitism, a Mahatria in my life to ensure that I don't fall in my life. Now, as an entrepreneur, as people who are leading such big organizations, the question that we need to ask ourselves is, who is going to be that Raja Guru? Who is going to be that Raja Rishi in my organization, where I need not fall and then learn a lesson, rather than I have somebody in my life who can prevent me from falling. We've already discussed 3 wisdoms, which has actually helped me to grow. And I wish what I'm sharing will surely help each one of you to grow. I'm sure all entrepreneurs who are seated here in this forum will agree with me when I say that. In fact, everybody around an entrepreneur enjoy, grow, and benefit a lot. Everyone around an entrepreneur enjoy, grow, and benefit a lot. Your customers are so happy because you're there for them. Your employees are so happy that you're taking care of them, you're taking care of the family, you're taking care of their needs. Your vendors are so happy that you actually give business to them. So, in fact, the government itself is so happy because as an entrepreneur, you pay your taxes on time. But one question that as an entrepreneur, we need to ask ourselves is, in all these which I'm doing for the rest of the people around me who are enjoying and benefiting so much out of me, am I progressing peacefully and happily in my business? And if as an entrepreneur, you don't progress happily and peacefully in your business, in infinitism, we term it as empty success. An entrepreneur has to definitely grow happily. Mahatria very firmly believes, my dear gentlemen, all of you who are part of this session, Mahatria very firmly believes that if a business is not doing well, for example, if a business should have been the way it has to be done, and if a business has not been doing well, there are 3 casualties because of this. 1, your health. 2, the time that you invest with your family. And 3, the spiritual practices that you go through. Let me come back to this in detail. If at least once in a week, if an entrepreneur does not smile, is not happy, which means that there is some fine-tuning which he has to do in the business. The smile is very, very important for an entrepreneur. The 3 casualties which Mahatria was speaking about. 1, health. You stop going for your exercises. You stop going to your gyms because something went wrong in your business. Your health takes the back seat. But in Tamil they say, it's very, very important. A small setback in business cannot stop you from going through your daily health routine because you are holding such a big business empire. And you are the person who's taking care of the needs of everybody in your organization. It is very, very important that your health has to be taken care of too. Now, that's a time when the relationship in the family goes for a toss. There is no family time. There's no investment of family time. Let me take an example. If you have an adolescent children at home, maybe they're 16, 14, 15, 16. And of course, not everything happens the way it has to happen. Something had gone wrong in business. And as a father, as a mother, if there is not investment of time with your children at the time when they are growing, you will be able to separate your business very soon. But what happens to the investment of time that you need to give to your family people? Were you there for your family people when they needed you the most? Because something went wrong in your business, a family cannot become a casualty. I repeat. The 3rd is your spiritual practices. What do I mean by spiritual practices? Most of us have different faiths. Some of you do meditation, some of you pray, some of you go to the temple. Now, I've heard from lots of entrepreneurs when they say, Okanda meditate. It is not happening to me. Oh, honestly, I learned from Infinitheism and Mahatria, only when things are not going right, which means I actually need help. And where do I go? I go into my silent chambers. I go in search of help through my silent chambers. And most of the time, we ensure that we actually go away. So this wisdom which I am sharing with all of you is just a word of caution. I wish none of us were in that right now. But in case we are, let's ensure that we don't actually get our health, the family time, and the spiritual practices. Let's keep doing everything. And then we know that I will be able to get my business right. Mahatria very firmly believes every good human being has a moral responsibility to be rich. I repeat, every good human being has a moral responsibility to be rich. Why? Because richness in the hands of good human beings will create a society. The other way about, richness in the hands of bad people will destroy the society. See, there's a 500 rupee note on the road. One of you, a good human being, goes past that, and you know it doesn't belong to you. Just leave it there and you go. Then another person comes. Maybe he's not a good human being, he's a bad human being. He might pick up that note, he might go and buy a knife, and he'll use it to destroy people. So if the good human being had picked up the note and used it for some charitable purposes, maybe you went and gave it to somebody who would help a child being fed, or some social contribution could have happened. So a good human being has a moral responsibility to become and be rich. And this can happen only through an entrepreneur, because you entrepreneurs rule the economy. You entrepreneurs rule this economy. And Mahatria also very firmly believes that if you have a very good product and service, you have the moral responsibility to sell more of it. I repeat, if you have a very good product and service, you have the responsibility to sell more of it. Why? Because in the same market, there will be somebody who also is going to bring out some inferior product. And some inferior product is going to be sold in the same market where a very good product is available. So we will never be able to justify as an entrepreneur when I know that I have a very good product and service. Why is that I'm not able to sell more of it? And being a good human being, being a very good entrepreneur, it is your responsibility to ensure that you sell more of your product and services and do justice to what you have created. I'm sure that all of you are there with me, because I usually take a session, live session. It's very different when you're going to look into the camera and speak, assuming that definitely, by the way I've been growing one big poor. The Vatican is rich, the ashrams are rich, and in that sense, Mahatria in Infinitheism is developing a spiritual economy. When I mean spiritual economy, I mean abundance of health, wealth, love, bliss, and spirituality. In order to achieve this spiritual economy, Mahatria does a lot of programs. A lot of programs happens through Mahatria in Infinitheism. Let me start from children. One of the very unique programs that we have is for the adolescent children, which we call as the Infini 11 and the Infini 14, where we actually, they have an edge. They have an edge over the other children in the society. They have the Infinitheism edge. We make them a big match players. We train with the economy. Now, this program is called as that, this and that. Each one of us have so many unanswered questions in our head. We need solutions, we need answers, because these unanswered questions might slow down our progress to what you have, you can become in life. You are an infinite possibility, and some of these questions might be slowing down your progress. Questions like success or happiness, passion or profession, on working or becoming an entrepreneur. So there are so many questions for which, balancing the paradoxes of life, iduva aduva, ikkarika akkarapacha, whatever, whether I have to take this or whether I have to take that. So for all these unanswered questions, Infinitheism very firmly believes life is not this or that. Life is this and that. I have to be successful, and I also have to be very, very happy. I'll ensure that I happily succeed as an entrepreneur. I happily become a role model father to my children. I happily become the soulmate to my wife. So this or that, no, this and that. A very, very important program. I wouldn't call it a program. Mahatria does is called as My Z Access, which is exclusively done for entrepreneurs. Remember, I told you about, we need somebody in our life who will ensure that we don't fall in our life, being that Raja Rishi and Raja Guru. This is a program where it is only given for the business owners, the top leaders of every business, where you have the guidance of Mahatria for 1 year, hand-holding you and the entire organization to speeden up, to accelerate the pace of growth in your organization. Most importantly, another program which is so close, I found 2 or 3 of them who are already there in the path of Infinitheism were part of the session. So definitely, one program, I wouldn't call it a program, we call it as a spiritual retreat, HDB, Higher, Deeper, Beyond. This is a retreat, a spiritual retreat taken by Mahatria, where you go through a journey into yourself, where you go and dissolve with the divine. You actually go and understand the purpose of your life, to understand what are each one of us made up of. It is just like I go and stay with a guru in an ashram. I drop my intelligence. All that which I seek for is the blessings and grace of my guru, and I know his energy will carry me through. This is called as the spiritual retreat, HDB, Higher, Deeper, and Beyond. And in all this, every week, week after week, there is something called as the infinite path, because it is Mahatria's firm conviction that it is only education and employment which can eradicate the poverty from this country. So for the past 25 years, week after week, through webcast, Sunday mornings, through our website, Infinitheism, Mahatria reaches out to more than hundreds to thousands of opinion makers of the society, so that he creates the abundance in each one of them by his wisdom, by his energy, and they in turn will be able to create that employment and that abundance and ensure that we have a poverty-free society. My dear friends, I've already shared with you some of the wisdoms which has carried me through for the past 25 years. But the man, the person, Mahatria, he is the person behind all this. 25 years ago, Mahatria just gave up his software business and embarked into this noble journey to awaken this humanity. Mahatria lived as a man among men. And he also did everything that every human being does, like every other man does. At the same time, he ensured that he was able to make people understand and go beyond deeper, higher dimensions of their life by the way he lived his life. Did Mahatria stop there, my dear friends? No. He understood that in the entire world, there was this yearning, this thirst for each and every human being to lead a very new life, a new perspective towards life. And he divined this path called Infinitheism. What is Infinitheism? It is a path which helps people aspire for breakthroughs, in any sphere of their life, be it spirituality or materialism. My dear friends, before I conclude this session, I would just want to do a small recap. For example, the first wisdom that all of us have gone through now. One, if I want my ego to get developed, I have to surround myself with people who look up to me. If I want to grow in life, I will surround myself with people whom I can look up to. Sangam, which is very, very important, the right-minded people, to be in the company of right-minded people. 3, as an entrepreneur, we are walking a very, very dangerous zone. We don't have people to come and tell us we are wrong when we are wrong. So who is going to be that Raja Rishi, that Raja Guru who is going to help me, who's going to safeguard me in my life? 4, when I said everybody around an entrepreneur are very, very happy, I need to ask myself this question: am I happily progressing in my life? Most importantly, I've understood from this session that I will not allow these 3 to be a casualty when my business is not doing well. Health, family time, and my spiritual practices. I also understood that I will smile as an entrepreneur. And if I need to make a small fine-tuning in my business, I will go all out to do it. And I also understood, as a good entrepreneur, every good human being has the moral responsibility to be rich, and I will be a rich and a very good human being. We also understood that if we have to remove, if scarcity is the problem, it can only be removed through abundance, and that is there in the hands of an entrepreneur. My dear friends, there was this father who was reading a newspaper. He was so engrossed in reading the newspaper. He wanted to know what was the current, things which there in the newspaper. All those details he wanted to know. And he had a 6-year-old daughter who actually wanted to play with the father. But the father wanted to read the newspaper. So the father wanted to engage the child. So as he was reading the newspaper, he saw there was a world map printed on the paper. So he tore that sheet of the world map. He tore it into a few pieces. He looked at his 6-year-old daughter and said, "Now this is your jigsaw puzzle. Once you finish that, Appa will come and play with you." And he started reading the newspaper. Maybe after a few, maybe about 5 minutes, that little 6-year-old daughter of his said, "Appa, I'm done." Looking at the astonished expression on the father's face, the little child, the little daughter, asked the father, "Appa, you're wondering how I was able to get the world map right in just 5 minutes? Appa, when you were tearing this newspaper, on the other side of the newspaper, there was a face of a man. Appa, I don't know where the nose should be, where the eyes should be, where the ears, I don't know where Greenland is, where Ireland is, or where Switzerland is. But I know, Appa, where the nose should be, where the eyes should be, where the ears should be." And she said something very, very profound. "Appa, I got the man right, and the world became right." My dear friends, Mahatria Ra has invested his entire life in getting this humanity right, by getting the people right. And now, having experienced through me the wisdom that has helped me to grow, it is time for us to experience Mahatria himself now. So please get ready for a very, very powerful message from Mahatriya. Can Mr. Nandakumar play the video for me, please?
All the creations of God, especially all you're a human being, the greatest of all the creations of God, especially all of you sub 25 who are sitting here. I don't want any one of you sub 25 sitting here to believe you're here for ordinary things in life. You're not here for ordinary things in life. The Vedas has one prescription for all of us. Lift yourself so that you can lift others. You have to believe, every one of you is sub 25 here, with the prime time of your life ahead of you, you got to believe that you'll do something spectacular with your life. You're not here to be lost in a statistical entity. You're a human being. An ordinary barrister, ordinary selfish barrister. He was convinced Britishers should rule India. He wanted to earn in a foreign currency. Went and settled in South Africa to earn in rands. Was living for me, mine, myself. And the moment he identified a goal larger than himself, the transformation of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi to Mahatma Gandhi transformed the whole world, which means inside one human being, there is power to transform the rest of the world. An ordinary school teacher who did not even believe she had the capabilities to become the headmistress of a school, went on to build missionaries of charities known to the world as Mother Teresa, feeding over 4 million people in 140 countries in the world, even much after her death. A carpenter's son and a shepherd till 30. And in 3 years' time, Jesus Christ was able to author one of the largest revolutions in the world. A university dropout in Steve Jobs was able to revolutionize the way technology operates even today. Our lifestyles have been changed. Every day we are seeing around us. And Azim Premji transforming a Shiakai company into a world-respected Wipro. Five people starting Infosys, and after several years, not able to even draw from their own organization what employees get paid. Still, a world-famous Infosys was built. That power of a human being, that potential of a human being is sleeping inside each one of you. To think that we are all here struggling in our day-to-day life, to be lost as a statistical entity in the world population, that your birth was not noticed, the way you live will not be noticed, and your death also will not be noticed, that we will just exist, is not for a human being. Certain speeches are born out of certain lives. Certain lives are born out of certain speeches. I am talking out of experience. I know where I was. I know where I am. And not because I am special. A human being is special. In my case, my potential has started manifesting. In some of your case, it has not yet manifested. In some of their case, it has already manifested. The only difference between us is manifested potential and unmanifested potential. That's all. There is no human being without a potential. You just have to discover that magic. Somewhere you have to believe you're here for something very meaningful beyond me, mine, myself. The beliefs you hold at the beginning of a journey define the journey. I want each one of you to believe. I don't care what your age is. Christ began at 30. Prophet began at 40. Abraham Lincoln began at 52. Colonel Sanders established Kentucky Fried Chicken at 65. George Bernard Shaw, when he was in his 90s, broke his hand. 90s. You know why? At 90, he realized, I've never climbed a tree in my life, and decided to try. And he fell down. At 90, he was ready to explore life. So there is no age to be awakened in life. You just have to make this decision. My entire past was over with the sunrise. Your entire future begins today. The question is, from here, how am I going to live the rest of my life? And that's the challenge we take up. The beliefs I hold at the beginning of a journey define the journey. Even if one of you sitting here who walked into this program thinking you're one more person, and if that one of you from this program can leave from here saying that in the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, I will not be one more person. I will be the person. I will be a role model. I will create a social reformation. I will lift myself so much that I will be able to lift people around. If one of you can, this program has achieved this objective. And I'm searching for that one person somewhere sitting here.
Let me conclude my session by only saying what Mahatria said right now. In the beginning, Mr. Radhakrishnan was saying Corona, pandemic, and all that. But now, let me take what Mahatria said now. The beliefs we hold in the beginning of a journey define the journey. From October to March, Mahatria said we have another 6 months. In spite of, because of, as an entrepreneur, if I set my mind, I can make this 6 months of my life very, very flourishing. Wishing you all most and more. Thank you so much.